And again, the question is asked on the central defensive midfield, and one game doth not maketh the man, but we'll talk about Dyer and his performance.
Yeah, I did ask on Twitter.
It certainly was not Dyer, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but I think you could say striker, winger. I think we really only are missing the one piece. And I think others might disagree and say the CDM, because Dyer is not the finished article. Let's face it, a month ago it was an experiment. We were just shaking our heads in disbelief. But yesterday he proved how valuable he could be in that role. But again, we cannot define the season on that or set expectations. So we could still get the CDM. Could it be Witsel? I don't know. I mean, I'm seeing the rumors of 26 million euros for that. So
let me add another wrinkle into it, because and this is one of the big drawbacks. I mean, I think we've been very, very lucky doing so much late business and avoiding key injuries, but boy, we took a blow on Saturday. Dembele's going to be out for a while. I don't think it takes a genius in sports injuries to realize that's more than likely a pretty, or reasonably, at the very least, severe injury. So that,
and we don't know the extent of it yet.
Well, in Windy at the Fighting Cock had an interesting was part of an interesting tweet today where he simply talked about the fact that we as an organization will probably be very loath to really share the extent of injuries, because it might speak to our level of desperation and have the players have the prices of players be bid up as a result. But
worse things could have happened. There could have been more integral players than Dembele. No disrespect to Dembele, but I'm not sure his position out on the right is his preferred position, although he has started all 4 games there. Yeah. I think we'll have more options on the right, and I hate to say it, I think we all mentioned it, once he did go off, and Godspeed on the recovery, we seemed to have a little more impetus when Dele Alli came on.
He did more of an offensive threat, but there was no question that Dembele played a very physical role in that game.
Absolutely, he did.
A lot of interceptions. He kept the ball really very well, and it's just a bit of a shame that he's going to have he has this injury now, and he really was playing in those 3 or 4 games, 3.5 games, I guess. He's been playing very well, but he does have, whether or not his spot was going to be long term on the right. You did view him as somewhat of a controlling midfielder, and now he's gone. So that definitely. So whereas I would have just been pretty comfortable with Berahino, I think the need now we had a CDM need anyway, and now that with him gone, and he was potential fill for that spot. Now with him gone, I think it does put more pressure on. I don't think that was necessarily a position that we could have waited till the winter window, and now in the belly out, I have to question whether we can at all. So maybe we do get 2 players in tomorrow or the next few days.
That'll be interesting. And it begs to ask the question: the players that are filling those roles now, is it competition, and they will, because they know the system a little better, they will stay there at least for a couple of weeks until they make some kind of egregious error? Which, when you're sitting on 3 points after 4 games, who can wait for an egregious error to happen? You just need to take the best 11 players and put them out there and see what'll happen. I kind of like the attacking thing yesterday. We pressed like there was no tomorrow, and I think it showed in the performance. The only thing that went wrong yesterday is that we did not put the friggin' ball in the net.
Yeah.
But we did everything else really well, I thought.
Yeah, we we had a good moan last week, as you know, about the sort of tepid nature of our performance, and it's so ironic that we really had much of the opposite. Yet, from a scoreline perspective, it looks like it was just as drab and dour as the week prior, but it wasn't. It really wasn't.
Yeah.
You really watch that match, and you really go back and watch it again. There's a lot of good things to take from that match, I thought. You guys?
I think so. I mean, listen, the fact that we didn't score is it looms over. It's the dark cloud following us around like Schlepprock. We've got to get 3 points, from some of these games. And I think after the international break, we play Sunderland. We've got to get 3 points, even though it's on the road, Stadium of Light. We've got to go get 3 points. We've got to get that first win. And you kind of hope that it'll snowball from there. Once you can get that first one under your belt, and I don't want to see it be like a 1-0. I'd like us to go out there and really own somebody and put a hurting on them. 3-0, 4-0. I love the fact there was some comparisons flying around today. I think it was just in the Dallas Spurs Facebook page or something like that they were likening yesterday's performance, especially from Eric Dyer, to something that we probably would have seen in the 60s from Dave Mackay. And I felt really good about that. That people, and these are, I think it was an expat who put that up, that has been around for a long time with this club and knows its history.
Stephen Reed, former season ticket holder.
That's right. And I felt good that someone of that ilk recognizes that there is some tenacity and fight. We kind of ragged on LaMelo. I wasn't here, but I listened to it about stepping on so and so's foot, or comes in and gets 3 fouls right away. Kick him in the fucking shins, man. I don't care. I really don't care.
Did he look intimidated by anybody?
I mean,
no, he didn't.
No, and Dyer, for as young as he is, we talked last year about Bentaleb being possibly a future captain, and that still may happen. Dyer could be in that role as well. And when we talked to Brad Friedel last year, he told us, theoretically, someone has to wear the captain's armband, but there's probably about a good 7 or 8 guys out there that could lead this squad at any given time. And it's always good to have a couple of really firm voices to do that, and you want them in the midfield. And if Bentaleb and Dyer, if we don't sign a Witzel, if they are the future in our midfield, one of them will be captain. It's just inevitable.
It was a captain's performance by Dyer. And before we switch gears, guys, I mean, let's put the transfer window to bed, because there's certainly a lot more to talk about in the game. But so, Sam, any final thoughts on who you think we might get, what those needs are?
No, I just, I mean, in the absence of sort of mystery CDM, I mean, let's face it, Son was very much a surprise to all of us. I think a lot of there's a number of guys on Twitter that we all follow that I think probably could have seen a Son coming, but for the most part, that missed most everybody's radar screen. So short of there not being that kind of mystery CDM that nobody is talking about, and who knows, that wouldn't be inconceivable. I think it has to be a 2-horse race with Wanayama and Witzel. I never would have thought that'd be true, but I feel like there's a greater than 0 chance that bid has been put in for him. So I sense 2 of those, and I wouldn't put it past Daniel that there's some mystery player, and maybe we do get 3. But I just don't think that Daniel Levy leaves this window without having a player. That I feel very, very assured about, and I really don't know how to send a 6-pack to somebody. So I'm praying to God it's Berahino that we get.
For as diligently as it seems like the board is working on these, getting at least 1 more player in, if not 2, what about Adebayor and Lennon and anybody else that may need to go? Yedlin could really use a loan, and I've read some things that maybe someone like Derby County or even Norwich would be a really good fit for him.
I think he needs to if he's going to go to a Premiership club.
Yeah, because, I mean, the way Walker's playing right now, he's not doing anything so bad that you want to pull him off and put Trippier in. So one or the other is going to be playing all the cup ties in Europe. And someone, if it's Walker double dipping, you might get some of that too, and then Trippier just playing in the cups and then filling in as needed. So Yedlin's really not going to get a chance to see the pitch unless he goes out on loan, unless he's going to play in reserve matches, which, who wants to do that? He came over here to play and be super competitive at the highest level, and I think he deserves that shot. He will be the speed is blinding, but he instantly becomes, just like Trippier, the best crosser on anybody's back line. He's very good with the ball at his feet inside the final third, getting that ball across to the strikers or a penetrating midfielder so that they can get a final shot off. So it's going to be really interesting to see not only the possibilities of ins, where it's Berahino or anybody else, but Adebayor, is West Ham going to take him for as much as they are hurting right now up front? I don't even know if he made it to West Ham for his medical that was supposed to happen a couple days ago, and Lennon as well. I think Lennon could be extremely valuable for somebody. There's a part of me that still thinks he could be extremely valuable for us still. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with those 2 guys, and then possibly Yedlin on loan or anybody else that may need to go out on loan, Harry Winks or some of those guys. So
Why hasn't anybody come in for Lennon? That is a bit surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, because he's cheap. It's what, like $6 or $7 million? I mean, at the most that we're asking for him. And at this point, you could probably get him for $5.
He'll go to Everton tomorrow. They just didn't want him to play on Saturday.
Yeah.
Let me see what I had for him. So, yeah, I have his transfer value about $7.5 million. That's what I have in my magical spreadsheet.
We'd never get that. 4 or 5 max.
Well, why? He's 20.
He's knocking on 30.
No, he's not. He's like 27 years old, I think. 27, 28.
He's been with the club 10 years.
We got him as you got him as a 17-year-old. 16-year-old, actually. Yeah, we did. Hang on. Aaron Lennon.
I got him on transfer
He came to us the year Leeds went down.
Born 1987. He is 27 years old.
I got him
Bow
as 28.
down to me.
I got him as 28 years old. His value is
Go get your fucking
£6 million.
Every once in a while. With a blind squirrel there.
28 years old, £6 million value. 5.95 million.
Yeah, he's 28. I apologize.
So, if we get $5 million for him, I'd be happy because, listen, everybody likes him for the most part. So it's kind of like Soldado. You want him to see, it's a likable person or a Holtby. You want him to go somewhere and be successful. And I wish Lennon all the best. He's not going to be a Tottenham Hotspur football player anymore.
No.
And
but
neither is that.
No. Both their squad numbers have gone.
Yeah, and Son wore 7 at Bayern Leverkusen, so I'm sure that
he was pitch side on Saturday wearing his shirt with number 7 on it.
Oh, was he? Okay, well there you go.
Yeah, Son was. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people moan about how Lennon has been treated, and training with the reserves, and he's been a loyal player, blah blah blah, deserves better. But he is the ultimate, well not the ultimate, but he is surplus to requirements.
Yeah.
And he did something. Must have. He's done something. We've talked about it, but anyway, let's not flog that dead horse.
Yep.
What's up next?
Everton.
Mine host.
Everton. Lineup and formation. The formation was pretty well the same. I was really pleased to see Rose back in, but Mason in the number 10 role instead of Dembele in the center. But what are you going to put? You can't really put Mason out wide. You could, but you don't. To give Walker some cover. But I think Dembele is better coming in on the left and controlling the ball the way he does off the. You don't have to worry about the middle so much with 2 or 3 guys coming in from 2 or 3 different angles. But I was kind of surprised that it was Mason that they put in that number 10 role. Simon?
Yeah, because I think everyone was crying out for Dele Alli to start. And he warranted that by his performance at Leicester. And that was probably, I wouldn't say disappointing, but surprising was Mason being there, the number 10 role. But he didn't do a bad job. He got around a bit. It was his pass that set Harry away for the one-on-one with Howard. He was the one that was integral in the effort at the near post in the first half. So he did get about a bit. But, yeah, I just don't know if, again, thinking of the new additions to the squad, or had Eriksen been in that role, could we have been more effective? And I think we can't argue with the fact that we had 20 efforts on goal, granted only 6 of them on target. Yeah. And Howard did have arguably one of his better games in recent times. I think everyone
made some remarkable saves.
Well, yeah, and everyone was saying it's the Belgians against USA again, and unfortunately, the result didn't go our way because we all know what the Belgians did to the Yanks in the World Cup last year. But Howard was immense in that game, and granted, he didn't have to save as many efforts on target as that game in Brazil. He certainly did have one of the finer performances by a goalkeeper so far in this young season. And, Harry, I think if that had been last season, he'd have buried that. And I think I know what he was trying to do. He was going near side or at worst, trying to meg Howard. And Howard made himself big. When you looked at that angle as Harry's bearing down on him, he did what every good goalkeeper should do. He made himself big. He spread himself, and he made a great save. So it was unfortunate because I think we all thought that was it. And floodgates could have been open at that point. We did have to absorb some pressure, I think, a little bit at the beginning, but we really did impose ourselves as the game wore on. And I think we're all frustrated that we didn't win and get the 3 points. But other than, I think, a Kone effort that went kind of wide second half, there really wasn't a lot coming from Everton, to be honest.
And, it's one of these things where when you really look back at the season, all 4 games, theoretically, we outplayed the competition. United, Leicester, Stoke, and
no, I disagree on Leicester. We didn't
disagree on Leicester.
Yeah, you know what?